Well, folks, something truly miraculous has happened on Disney Plus. I am honestly, wholeheartedly shocked to say this next sentence to you. The Muppets made something really, really good. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the Muppets Mayhem, the latest offering from the straight to Disney Plus, whatever is happening with the Muppets franchise. They've been pushing a lot of stuff lately. A lot of Muppet content that has been coming out for Disney Plus has been very miss for me. The first show they did, Muppets Now, was fun and inspired. And it's like, what if we did like a variety show through a webcam? And I'm like, that's kind of fun, I guess. Not really. And then the Haunted Mansion special they did for Halloween a few years ago, I thought it was just okay. I wasn't blown away by it. I think like the guest appearances kind of like overshadowed what should have been like a straightforward narrative for the show. But when they said we're doing Muppets Mayhem, this is going to be a story about the Electric Mayhem, everyone's favorite band of all time, and they're just going to tell a story about their lives. I was hesitant because I haven't liked a lot of the content to come out from Muppets recently, I gotta say. And it's early in the year still, we're only in May. Muppets Mayhem might be my favorite television program of the year. This is everything I have wanted from the Muppets adjacent universe for a long time. It is straightforward, it is clean, it is well written, it stays true to the characters but also modernizes them a little bit. The things that this show talks about through the scope of the Muppets world is so fascinating and so cool and crafted beautifully. This is what I wanted. It has a little bit of that 2015 Muppets vibe, where it's kind of like a behind the scenes look. They're not on like an actual like show anymore. We are strictly following the Electric Mayhem. You got Dr. Teeth, Janice, Sergeant Floyd Pepper, Animal, Zoot, and Lips. That's our crew. We follow them through their journey, whatever they're going to do. They are this magnificent band that has never actually put out an album, but they've been touring for 50 years with music that's not really their own. They make a groovy song, they do that. That sounds both like an idea that happens in like the real world, where like some people and some writers are like, well, they've never actually produced an album, maybe we should do a show about them making the album. And in the universe, just like, yeah, why would we stop doing this thing that's been good for us forever? Enter Nora, played by Lily Singh, who's like, I work for this record label you have history with, you owe us an album, let me help you create that album. And thus we get 10 episodes of really good Muppets content, which is such a rare thing to say these days. I just appreciate everything this show is doing. It is straightforward, it is simple, it is easy, but when you have talented characters like the Electric Mayhem, you can just go crazy and do what you want. The thing I respect most about this show, one of the things that just helped me solidify this as like one of those pieces I love from the Muppets now, is how true to the characters every single one of the Mayhem feel while still sticking true to what made them who they are in the first place. Janice goes on a journey of self-discovery. Her mission has always been to help others, but what if she has to help herself? Well, that leads her to running a cult. Animal needs to learn to grow up a little bit, and he sort of figures out that he might be the glue that holds everything together. The family man. Very compelling story. Zoot's off in his own world, and I love it. Zoot, one of my favorite members of the Mayhem, probably my favorite. What he does in this, he just kind of like bookends every episode of just like taking a picture of the audience in some stupid way. It's really fun. But the real heart of the show, and I know that's like really interesting to say, is actually the relationship that develops between every other character in Dr. Teeth and every other character in their relationship to Floyd. Those two, for some reason, and I know the reason, they're the popular ones, the ones that kind of like get you in the door. They are given a lot of backstory, a lot to do. We see a lot of their early days, how they meet, and it's all like a natural progression of where these guys are coming from, how they are growing up, how they meet. It is really brilliant and really subtle and just does so many great things to stay true to these characters while still feeling timeless. And that's the best part about this too, is it uses the modern ideas of today, like modern technology, ways we make music, ways we have virtual concerts. It plays with that in a way that doesn't feel ham-fisted or like it's punching you in the face with it. It's just, yeah, if we're going to make a record, well, we have to sell you guys to kids, so why don't we have a concert in Minecraft? Why don't we get you on Twitter, and because you have such terrible dialect, you're going to autocorrect words terribly and sound like you're making fun of people. it is really smart with the way it's doing that kind of stuff. Because it's staying true to these characters. Dr. Teeth is talking like Dr. Teeth. Lips is still mumbling his way through everything. But it just has the natural progression of this is 2023. The things you have done, they still are funny and cool. But, you know, if we have to make a reference to modern rap music, or we have to just talk about the ides of social media, we can do that for a minute. Because there, for some reason, I can't really explain it, but for some reason, this show has something to say about what a social media presence is, like an influencer, and the state of the music industry. I get the state of the music industry thing, because you're like, this band has survived for so long, not doing anything but covers pretty much. Modern music doesn't let them, like, have their energy flow through the studio or anything. It's so, like, constructive and created in this, like, one location. But they're a band that needs to get their vibes and figure out who they are and stuff. But you can't really do that today. And then we have a character who's like an influencer learn a lesson that you can exist in the present moment without posting about it online, which is an interesting story. Look, there's some things on here that I don't think work perfect. The animal becoming TikTok obsessed is really on the nose and might be the weakest part of like the whole technology upgrade stuff. I like the rest of it. Floyd writing jingles is really fun. Dr. Teeth reviewing like spicy foods on YouTube was really fun. Lips doing a TED Talk is hilarious. Like, I think all that stuff is really fun. And even Zoot using a phone, he's like, where'd the pictures go in the cloud? And he keeps looking up. It's funny. But the animal TikTok thing, I'm like, yeah, I get what you're doing. That feels a little too Muppets now, and that doesn't work perfectly. But it is fine. It doesn't destroy the flow of the show. The jokes we are making, and that's something that is really hard to do with Muppets lately, is just like have a joke land perfectly. It might be like the loose, free-flowing nature of the show where it just sounds like people talking, but they all land. There are very seldom jokes that don't hit perfectly. The odd one just doesn't roll off the tongue well. It might just be because we needed another take, or we just didn't understand like the perfect wording for the situation. But every joke lands really well. Every character makes a joke in character. The humans interact with the puppets really well, and it feels very believable. It's still kind of jarring, and that's just like a thing that's always going to happen when we do like the wide shots of all the characters and we see their entire bodies. No matter what you do that in, it's just going to look weird, but they hold it together really well. And it's so fun, just seeing where this story goes, where it's like, hey, we just wrote a hit song, we're going to give it away for free because we don't need money to make music. My favorite episode, and that's saying a lot because so many of this is great. It might just be because I've rewatched it recently, but they did a parody of the Beatles Get Back documentary that goes into some very hilarious directions while still staying in character. And there's great cameos in that episode, and just the relationship of like who's playing John, who's playing Paul, who's playing Yoko. It is so funny and so well done, and the kind of thing I want from streaming, where it's like you're in and out in 25 minutes. Don't think too hard about this. You know these characters. We can have some guest musicians show up for a funny cameo or a serious cameo. We got DJs. We got singers and drummers and guitarists of all variety. Podcasters even, like high-end producers in the music business. Everyone is showing up to support this, and I'm just blown away by the amount of people they shove into every scene. I don't want to give any of the cameos away because there are going to be ones that surprise you they went for it. There's the obvious ones that are just like, here's a comedic actor doing a comedic scene for 1 minute. Like, here's Ben Schwartz talking to Animal in a room like, hey, let's find you another job. But then there's one where you're like, how did that person, or why did that person agree to show up here for a minute? It's very weird, but it's so fun to see. Every character gets their little journey. Again, being a fan of Zoot, just having him be in the background of certain moments is so funny. He has one really good bit that he's a part of in the documentary episode where he is trying to find people to play him in the movie. So he's like, yeah, Elvis Presley could play me, or Frank Sinatra. They're all dead. And then he hires, I don't want to spoil it, but he hires a really famous actor to play himself in the movie. And it's so funny. But if you're a longtime fan of Lips, he gets a lot to do, which is very surprising. They do have one thing with Animal where it's like, do you guys remember Baby Yoda? What about Baby Animal? It's fine. It's not egregious and it's not shoved in your face, but it definitely feels like we made a new puppet strictly for this. Animal might be, I think, the most hit or miss in terms of like what they do with the character. I guess because like how do you put that into like a scripted format for so long? It does fine. Janice gets a great arc. Floyd gets a great arc. Dr. Teeth gets a great arc. I gotta say too, the human characters are played really well. Lily Singh, who is somebody I'm always fascinated by. She has picked her projects well and has made herself a really nice career doing some really good stuff. She feels very natural in this world. Some of the stuff she has to do is kind of just like, huh, did that just happen? Or you like one of those types of jokes. She does it well. It might just be having like kind of like influencer comedy background coming up for her, but she has carried the show well. The other human characters play really well into the world too. It just found its tone right away. When you hear the songs, you are just fascinated and fully integrated into everything going on. The way it talks about modern technology and modern music through the lens of the Muppets is the kind of thing I've been wanting from this property for a long time. It has found its niche and it has worked immensely. There isn't a single frame of this show that is upsetting or cringy. Every joke doesn't land. Some of them are very miss, but just walking away having been like, this is the Electric Mayhem as I've always known them. It's giving them depth and background that I've never expected we'd see for the band, with human characters and cameos that I'm just genuinely impressed showed up in a show like this. It is impressive. And the kind of thing that could put the Muppets back on top. Give them that revival that they clearly have needed. Just seeing like, we have found it again. We can talk about like our almost famous vibe in this setting and have it work. If we have to break up to come back together, we can do that. If we have to have infighting, we can do that. If we have to have the love story between the human characters, we can do that and have it work. And it really did work. I'm a longtime Muppets fan, so I was just ready to love this no matter what happened. But walking away, it is one of the best Muppet things to come out in a very long time, where I'm just so blown away by how I was feeling, where the jokes felt like classic Muppets jokes, and that's impressive. And the depth they give to Dr. Teeth, it is insane and so impressive. This is the kind of comedy I want more of. If you're going to do streaming shows with big named characters, do it like this. It's the perfect kind of niche that old audiences are going to love, but new ones could come in and appreciate. I'd show this to a new Muppets fan right away, because if you can get somebody who's younger to see like, this is the vibe we're going for, it's slapstick, it's fourth wall breaky, everyone's aware of how silly and ridiculous this is, I think you could show them that, and then you could go back and show them older movies or older episodes of the show, and they could just slowly fall into that world again. That's really impressive to say. I'm glad it can do that, and I think this is going to be one of those defining moments for modern Muppets where you either go back or you go forward from this, and I think they're going to go forward because Muppets Mayhem surprised on every single level. The way it delivered, the way it handled. I hope they can keep this up. I hope they get the chance to do more. I would watch another season. I could do another 10 episodes of these characters. If we want to do something similar with another group or another trio of the Muppets, that could be exciting too. But it worked. We stuck the landing, and it's just really impressive. I'm glad it worked. So, the Muppets Mayhem. I am going to give an 8 out of 10. Can you picture that? Now, thank you all for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.